What if I told you that um, the reason a marathon runner hits the proverbial wall at mile 20 isn't necessarily because their leg muscles gave out?
Yeah, or, that their lungs couldn't process enough oxygen.
Right. What if it's actually because of what their eyes were doing for the previous 3 hours?
It's crazy to think about.
It really is. So welcome to a custom deep dive crafted specifically for you. Today we are looking at some really fascinating excerpts from a piece called The Polarized Edge in Athletic Vision.
And the whole mission of this dive is to, well, completely upend how we think about a very common everyday accessory.
Exactly. We're looking at how a simple modification to the lenses we wear doesn't just make our surroundings look a little darker on a sunny day. It fundamentally alters athletic performance, endurance, and how we interact with the physics of our environment.
It really forces a complete reframing of athletic performance. Because, before an athlete can physically react to an environment, they have to actually perceive it.
Yeah, you have to see it first.
Right. If the visual data entering the brain is compromised, all the physical training in the world, all that cardiovascular endurance, it just won't save them from making a critical error.
We're just burning out prematurely.
Exactly. Managing light is essentially the first step in managing physical energy.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because I think most people, myself included, honestly, have historically looked at polarized lenses as a bit of a marketing gimmick.
Oh, for sure. Like at the sunglass kiosk at the mall.
Yeah. Just a fashion statement or a buzzword to justify a higher price tag.
Yeah.
But diving into this material, it becomes really clear that polarized lenses are actually a highly specialized piece of athletic gear.
They really are.
And they're designed to fight a very specific environmental enemy, which is horizontal glare.
And that is the mechanical core of what we are discussing today.
Yeah.
To really understand the gear, we have to understand the physics of light first.
Right, the science behind it.
Yeah. So unfiltered sunlight is chaotic. It scatters and bounces in every conceivable direction.
It's totally random.
Right. But when that chaotic light hits a flat, reflective surface, think of like a calm lake or a stretch of highway or even the hood of a car. The light waves are forced to align.
Okay.
They organize themselves and reflect back into your eyes, primarily on a horizontal plane.
So the environment is taking all that scattered random light and just concentrating it into a single overwhelming beam.
Exactly. It is an immense amount of visual noise hitting the optical nerve all at once. And that concentrated horizontal light is what we experience as glare.
Wow, okay.
And blocking that specific plane of light doesn't just make things more comfortable. It fundamentally changes the spatial data the brain receives.
Right.
It improves visual clarity, enhances contrast, and creates highly accurate depth perception.
I want to make sure we're visualizing the physics of this correctly for you listening. Imagine taking a jump rope, tying one end to a wall, and just shaking it wildly.
Okay, great visual.
You're making waves that go up, down, side to side in every direction. That's our normal chaotic sunlight. But if you take that jump rope and run it through, say, a wooden picket fence, the fence is only going to let the up and down vertical waves pass through the slats.
Exactly.
Any side-to-side horizontal wave is going to slam into the wood and just stop. Is that basically what a polarized lens is doing?
That is a perfect mechanical analogy. The polarized lens is the picket fence.
Okay, cool.
It allows the vertical light, which carries the usable visual information, to pass through so you can still see the world clearly.
Right. It doesn't make you blind.
Exactly. But it acts as a physical barrier to the horizontal light that is trying to blind you.
And what's crucial here is that we aren't just talking about making the world look prettier, When you say contrast and depth perception, it sounds almost like an Instagram filter.
Yeah, I get that.
But in sports science, we are talking about actual spatial data.
What's fascinating here is what happens to the brain once that horizontal noise is removed. Glare acts like static on a radio broadcast.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it corrupts the signal. If you are, say, trail running, your brain is constantly calculating distance, speed, and trajectory based on the visual information it receives.
Which is a lot of math happening subconsciously.
A ton. So by removing that horizontal static, the polarized lens ensures the brain gets a clean, high-fidelity signal.
Right.
You aren't just seeing a nicer-looking trail. Your brain is receiving precise, millimeter-accurate data about the depth of a route or the texture of the loose gravel.
Which means the brain doesn't have to guess.
Exactly.
If the spatial data is clean, the cognitive processing is faster, and the physical reaction time is faster. It's a massive competitive edge.
It really is.
But this brings us to the part of the research that I really struggled to wrap my head around. We've established the physics of light and reaction time, but then we get into endurance.
Ah, yes, the energy drain.
Yeah, the idea that blocking glare actually prevents physical fatigue. I really need to push back on this because it sounds a bit exaggerated.
It does sound like a stretch at first.
Right. When we talk about athletic fatigue, we are talking about heavy, tangible things.
Yeah.
We are talking about lactic acid building up in the quads or glycogen depletion.
Physical exhaustion.
Yeah. Are you seriously telling me that my eyelids squinting against the sun are burning enough calories to cause a systemic energy drain?
Right.
Like, how can a tiny muscle around the eye impact my ability to finish a race?
It seems highly counterintuitive if we only think of energy in terms of large muscle groups.
Right, like legs and lungs.
Exactly. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at cognitive load and sympathetic nervous system response.
Okay, how so?
Well, squinting is not just a minor facial expression, it is a constant involuntary muscle contraction. Think about what happens when you clench your jaw during a stressful day.
Oh, man, that makes sense. You don't even realize you're doing it until your entire head aches.
Exactly. Your jaw muscles are relatively small, but if you clench them for 4 hours, that tension doesn't stay in your jaw.
Right, it spreads.
It migrates. It moves up into your temples, creating a tension headache. It moves down the back of your neck into your trapezius muscles, and suddenly your shoulders are locked up.
Wow.
Squinting triggers the exact same physiological chain reaction.
So it's a completely systemic cascade.
It absolutely is. When an athlete is in harsh, glaring conditions without proper optical filtration, they are constantly flexing those micromuscles to artificially narrow their field of vision.
Because they're just trying to block out the light themselves?
Right. The body is effectively fighting the environment just to see. And on top of the muscular tension, processing that visual static requires an immense amount of neurological energy.
Ah, because the brain is doing extra work.
The brain is working overtime to filter out the glare and guess where the obstacles are.
Meaning you are burning cognitive fuel just to maintain basic spatial awareness.
Which leads directly to neurological fatigue. Dealing with a tension headache, locked shoulders, and cognitive overload requires massive energy reserves.
So the athlete's legs might feel heavy, and they might attribute it to, like, the physical output of the run.
But a significant portion of that fatigue is actually originating from the immense effort required to process blinding light.
That is wild. So by simply wearing the right lenses, you are essentially plugging a major invisible energy leak.
Precisely.
You are preserving cognitive and muscular fuel that can now be sent down to the legs or the lungs, rather than being wasted on fighting the sun.
It completely elevates the sunglasses from an accessory to a vital piece of performance equipment.
Yeah, no kidding. And if we take this foundational understanding of preserving energy and maximizing spatial data, it completely changes how we view specific sporting environments.
The environmental applications are where the theoretical physics meet practical survival.
Right.
The dynamics change significantly depending on whether you are dealing with water, pavement, or snow.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at water sports first. For an angler or a sailor, polarized lenses allow them to actually see beneath the water's surface.
Which sounds a bit like an exaggeration until you remember the jump rope analogy.
All right.
It essentially strips away the boundary of the water's surface from a visual standpoint. Water is highly reflective.
Very.
Depending on the angle of the sun, the surface of a lake acts as a near-perfect horizontal mirror, bouncing the image of the sky directly into your eyes.
So without polarization, an angler is just looking at a giant silver mirror.
Exactly.
They can't see the water itself. They are just seeing the sky reflected back at them.
But with the lenses, they get this sort of X-ray vision.
Because they filter out that horizontal reflection.
Right. And because that mirror effect is gone, they are suddenly looking straight down into the water.
They can spot rocks, shifts in the current, or the movement of a fish that was completely invisible a second ago.
It literally renders an opaque environment transparent. And for sports like sailing, reading the subtle ripples and textures beneath the glare is the only way to anticipate shifts in the wind or hidden currents.
Like a massive tactical advantage.
It is. But the implications shift from strategy to pure safety when we look at fast-moving terrestrial sports, like cycling.
Right, because in cycling, the environment isn't a fluid surface, but it's still full of reflective hazards.
Wet pavement, the back windshields of parked cars, metal guardrails.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
In those scenarios, a flash of glare isn't just an annoyance. If you are a cyclist descending a mountain road at 40 miles an hour, a sudden blast of horizontal light off a car's windshield causes temporary flash blindness.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Your pupil violently constricts, and for a fraction of a second, your visual data feed drops to zero.
And at 40 miles an hour, a fraction of a second means you've traveled 50 or 60 feet completely blind.
Which is catastrophic if there happens to be a patch of loose gravel, a pothole, or debris in that 60-foot blind spot.
Absolutely. So the polarized lens acts as a continuous safety feed.
Exactly. It aggressively strips away those dangerous visual interruptions, ensuring the cyclist maintains an unbroken, high-fidelity stream of spatial data about the road surface.
It's risk mitigation at a biological level. But this brings us to a massive curveball in the research.
Yeah.
We have just spent all this time establishing that blocking glare is universally beneficial.
Right.
It saves energy, it stops headaches, it lets fishermen see through water, and it saves cyclists from high-speed crashes. But there is one specific harsh environment where blocking that horizontal light might actually be a terrible idea.
The winter sports paradox.
Yeah.
It really tests our understanding of what glare actually represents in different contexts.
I am going to need you to walk me through this, because on the surface, it makes zero sense.
Fair enough.
Snow is frozen water. A ski slope is made of millions of tiny, highly reflective ice crystals. The glare on a sunny day at a high altitude is notoriously blinding.
Oh, it can literally burn your retinas.
Right. So why on earth would a skier consciously choose a non-polarized lens and willingly let that glare hit their eyes?
Let's approach this deductively. We have defined glare as visual static or noise. But this raises an important question. What if, in a very specific monochromatic environment, that static is the only usable signal you have?
Oh, I see. I'm trying to picture the environment. You're on a mountain. Everything is white.
Right.
The snow is white. The sky is often washed out. The natural contrast is basically zero.
Now, introduce the greatest hazard on that mountain. What is the one thing a high-speed skier is terrified of hitting?
Ice. Hitting a patch of solid ice means you lose your edge, you lose all friction, and you crash.
Exactly. And how do you spot ice on a mountain entirely covered in white snow?
Good question.
Soft, powdery snow diffuses light. It reflects it, certainly, but it scatters it because the surface is uneven. Solid ice, however, is flat. It is a near-perfect mirror.
Oh, wow. I see where this is going. The ice creates a very sharp, concentrated horizontal glare.
Exactly. The glare is the only visual indicator that the texture of the ground has changed from safe snow to dangerous ice.
Oh, man.
If a skier wears heavily polarized lenses, those lenses will do their job flawlessly. They will block that horizontal reflection.
Which means they effectively erase the warning sign.
Precisely.
The solid ice patch would blend in perfectly with the soft snow around it because the lens filtered out the contrast marker. The equipment is almost too good at its job, so it hides the danger.
It really underscores a vital lesson in sports science. Athletes cannot just blindly apply technology across the board.
You really have to understand the specific physics of your environment.
Exactly. In deep sea fishing, glare hides the objective. In downhill skiing, glare is the objective data.
That is a phenomenal distinction. It really forces you to be intentional about your gear.
Yeah.
But speaking of understanding the physics of the environment, we need to transition to the final component of this research.
An invisible threat.
Yeah. Because up until now, we have only been talking about visible light. We've been talking about the glare we can see, the tension we can feel, and the ice we can spot. But there is a much more insidious, invisible energy hitting the eye that doesn't just cause temporary fatigue.
The ultraviolet spectrum. We are moving from discussing short-term software optimization, how the brain processes images, to long-term hardware protection.
And the research emphasizes that quality athletic lenses must include UV400 coverage.
They absolutely have to.
And we hear terms like UV400, UVA, and UVB thrown around constantly in sunglasses marketing. But what do those acronyms actually mean in terms of biological damage?
Well, to understand the damage, we look at wavelengths. Light travels in waves, and we measure those waves in nanometers.
Okay.
The visible light spectrum, all the colors and glare we've been discussing, stops around 400 nanometers. Anything below that threshold is ultraviolet light.
So it's beyond what we can naturally see.
It is completely invisible to the human eye, but it carries a significant amount of radiation.
So UV 400 literally means the lens is designed to block all light waves up to 400 nanometers. It's a hard barrier against the invisible spectrum.
Exactly.
But what is the difference between UVA and UVB? Why do we need protection from both?
The easiest way to remember it is A for aging and B for burning.
Aging and burning, got it.
Yeah. UVA rays have longer wavelengths. They penetrate deep into the eye, bypassing the cornea and hitting the macula and the retina at the back of the eye.
Why that deep?
Yes. Over years of exposure, UVA radiation causes cellular degradation. It accelerates the development of cataracts and macular degeneration.
So it's a slow burn.
Very slow. You don't feel it happening, but it is slowly degrading your optical hardware over time.
Okay, so that's A for aging
Yeah.
and UVB.
B is for burning. UVB rays have shorter wavelengths, meaning they carry more intense energy but don't penetrate as deeply.
So they hit the surface.
Exactly. They hit the surface of the eye, the cornea. Just like UVB rays cause sunburns on your skin, they can actually sunburn your cornea. It's a condition called photokeratitis.
A sunburn on your actual eyeball. That sounds excruciating.
Oh, it is incredibly painful, and it causes temporary blindness, severe inflammation, and this awful gritty feeling in the eyes.
Like having sand in your eye.
Worse. It is an acute, immediate trauma, often experienced by athletes at high altitudes or on the water where UVB reflection is intense.
So what does this all mean for the athlete? It means you have two distinct battlefronts.
Right.
The polarized element manages the visible spectrum. It optimizes your immediate physical performance by giving you clean spatial data. And it preserves your muscular energy by stopping that systemic, jaw-clenching, eye-squinting fatigue.
And the UV 400 element manages the invisible spectrum. It ensures the mechanical structures of the eye, the cornea, the lens, the retina remain intact and functional over a lifetime of exposure to harsh radiation.
So true athletic vision gear requires both systems operating in tandem.
Because maximizing your visual contrast today is completely pointless if you are permanently burning your retinas for tomorrow.
Right. It is a comprehensive biological approach to an organ we rely on for virtually every athletic movement.
It really is.
Well, we have covered incredible ground today, fundamentally redefining how we view a pair of sunglasses. We started with the physics, looking at how light aligns into a horizontal beam, and how polarized lenses act like that picket fence, physically blocking the visual static.
And then we moved into the physiology, uncovering how processing that static forces involuntary muscle contractions.
Right, leading to cognitive overload, tension headaches, and a massive drain on systemic energy reserves.
Then we explored the environmental applications, seeing how stripping away that horizontal mirror gives anglers the ability to see through water,
And protect cyclists from catastrophic high-speed blind spots.
while also navigating the brilliant paradox of the winter athlete, who must retain that glaring visual noise to survive the hidden dangers of high-speed ice.
And we rounded it out with the invisible threat, breaking down how UV 400 blocks the invisible radiation of UVA and UVB rays, preventing both long-term cellular aging and acute, painful burns to the cornea.
It's a lot to think about.
It is. The next time you grab a pair of sunglasses before heading out for a run, a ride, or just a long drive, recognize that you aren't just putting on a piece of tinted plastic.
You are actively, mechanically altering the light waves allowed to enter your brain.
You are upgrading your spatial data input, mitigating cognitive load, and shielding your biology.
You are taking control of your energy, your safety, and your long-term performance at a fundamental neurological level.
It is a profound piece of sports science sitting right there on the bridge of your nose. But as we wrap up this custom deep dive into the polarized edge in athletic vision, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
We've just learned how a simple microscopic lens coating can instantly alter our depth perception, strip away blinding noise, and reveal an entirely hidden underwater world that was right in front of us the whole time.
Yeah.
It forces you to consider how much of our everyday visual reality is obscured by reflected light that we've simply learned to accept as normal.
Yeah.
We walk around every day assuming we are seeing the full, unobstructed picture of our environment.
But we aren't.
No. Based on the physics of light we just unpacked,
Mm-hmm.
what else are you looking right at but not actually seeing?